Hello everyone, welcome back to FixColab BTS. Together with me is Hakim. I don't think I should be saying that anymore. I think Hakim and I is already okay. We are the hosts for tonight. Okay, so I hope everyone is doing great. Currently, we are in the second lockdown, right? Second major lockdown. This is the third MCO. So the cases seems like it's going down, right? So good job, Malaysians. Yes, and everyone is got vaccinated. Hakim just got vaccinated. My turn is still unknown. So yeah, so I hope everyone continue on to take care of the SOP, and then just be aware of your surrounding. Okay, enough of that iklan. So tonight, Hakim, what are we gonna talk about tonight?
All right.
I think
again.
No, I think people will be like, these guys talk about this tech, that tech, talk about everything literally. What other techs can these guys be talking about again now? So yeah.
Okay. So
Hakim, what are we gonna talk about?
Right. So for tonight, our topic will be among the topic that really close to me, a technology that I really really inspired me and really say futures for me. If you ask me, this technology really say futures. So what I'm talking about, so the topic for tonight is we want to discuss and talking about virtual reality technology, or in short, a lot of people gonna recognize it as a VR, right? Virtual reality.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the topic for tonight that we're gonna a bit of unpack and try to understand, so we can have much more better understanding about what is really VR technology in a sense, right? Right. So just to roughly put the layout for everyone, for Leroy to understand what is VR technology. So imagine that you go to sleep and you fall into dream, right? So in that situation, that's how I will put the analogy of VR. Basically, you detach yourself from this reality, this world, this thing that we are looking right now, your physical body and everything, to a artificial or non-existing world that we can create it. So that's particularly what VR technology enable us to experience artificial world, digital world that impossible to manifest in our real world, right? And this is really interesting for me because I really like to invoke my imagination, and this technology really enable us as a humanity to explore the possibility of a different kind of world and experience, and also spaces. So it bring a lot of idea together, but the main idea is that we are able to experience that our ancestors can't even imagine to experience. I mean, of course, today we have much more better technology than them, but with VR, we have much more leverage. We have much more open world to play with rather than just this current world that we have. I mean, we are limited to the physics, right? And the physics of the actual physical world, but in virtual world, there's no limit. We can deny physics, we can explore planets, we can go to places, we can simulate experience that we can't even imagine, right? So that is what VR, in a sense, for everyone to understand, it's basically a technology that enable you to sharing and creating experience that you won't be able to manifest in real world. So that's I would say the short form. And if you're asking how it works, basically you have to wear special devices that what we call head-mounted display, or HMD, or simply we can name it as a headset. So basically we're gonna wear in front of our eyes, and then we're gonna put it up, and then basically all our sight will be blocked, and we will look at the screen, and this screen, it will simulate 360 world experience. So You look up, you look left, right, top, down, you would see a different world than what you already are familiar with the physical one. So in a sense, in order for you to explain, I mean, at the moment, that's how we enable that technology. But in the future, there will be another way for us to enable virtual experience. But now we are limited to what we call head-mounted display, where we put a display in front of our eyes, and then we can see things that we unable to see with normal physical world, right? So in a gist, that is what VR is. What do you think, Leroy? Have you thought about? I mean, you probably have heard about VR before from me, but personally, how do you see, how you perceive VR? I mean, from your understanding, is it something different or is it something similar?
So VR is a very, very interesting technology, first of all. And yep, second, it is something that it allows us to play with our creativity, with our imagination, in creating all this visual VR, virtual reality lah, virtual VR, how do I say it? Virtual surrounding. And that's the fun part. And to be able to interact with those virtual surroundings. That is that considered VR? For us to be able to interact with those is VR, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's part of the experience where you can interact with the virtual items or virtual object.
Yeah. So yeah, it's about us being able to create another world or to our preferences, and that's one. That's the fun part. And then yep, for us to be able to how do I say this? It's about the experience of in a virtual world. It's about the experience of us being able to create whatever world that we want with the right skill set, and then for us to be able to feel and experience something new. That's what VR is for me. Like, and then also I think is the best tool for us to how do I say it? Best tool for us to close or to bridge what we have in our mind into something that we can share with everyone else, and everyone else can see and experience. So yeah, so that's the one. Imagine like in your brain you play some scene in your head. Maybe you're in a small city, or maybe you're in, at a beach. You're imagining, right? So that is one of the possibilities where we can actually recreate something that we imagine in our head into a virtual surrounding. Someone else can experience what we imagine. So it's bridging that imagination gap and experience.
Yeah, interesting.
That's what I would say.
Interesting. I mean, when you mention about, you do have some idea in your head about the something that you want to imagine and want to share with others. Yeah, VR certainly is one of the technology that we could utilize to enable this. I mean, VR enable us to create experience, whether it's have existed before or never existed, or it's just our imagination. It's just something that actually we can share with others, right? And when you bring out this topic, is remind me of the possibility how VR can actually give some experience to those who are, for example, those who are unable to, due to medical circumstances, unable to go out or whatever. VR can really be, I would say, I'm not sure, probably it's just exaggerating, but it's like light of hope kind of thing, like they still unable to experience outside world, even though they are bedridden or something like that, right? And really bring, like you say, the humanity, a sense of humanity that we want, because previously if you were to share experience, right, back then we just tell our grandchildren, our grandkid, oh, grandpa back in the days is something like this, I do this, I fight with Japanese, I fight with German, I will fight with the Nazi and everything. But we can only, how we perceive the information is just solely by the words of the speaker, right? But now with the VR, not only by the words, we can actually simulate the whole simulation. I mean, simulate the experience, right? In being in like Old Town, for example, in New Mexico in like 1878, for example. Yes, back then we all can say, oh, back then it's like the town, the building is made of wood, something like that. But we, in our head, we can only imagine, it's just an imagination. But now, using all this information, we can craft experience to simulate this. So even though we right now we live in 2021, we can experience something that in 1878, something like that, right? So really bring the drive home the humanity part of aspect of the technology that we could possibly see, right? And this also bring me another remind me that if you ever heard about, so when we're talking about VR, there's another aspect that will, probably a lot of people are familiar with, is if you ever watch a movie called Ready Player One, right?
Yeah.
So if anyone have watched that movie, so basically what the main character or the whole world is happening is that they have physical world and then they have a virtual world, where virtual world is basically world of imagination. They can do anything, and the main character able to some sort of save the world in virtual world using VR. It's basically the same tools that we have right now. We use VR headset in front, so basically we put display in front of our eyes, and also in the movie they have this like omni treadmill, so you can move right and left, it will detect, right? So actually the tools and this kind of technology actually already exists, and what you see in a movie is completely feasible today. Is it's not just because the book is written back in the day. So but the technology that we have now, we can simulate the same thing. And that's how far we've been in VR technology. And for those who are maybe watch a lot of the Japanese animation, probably familiar with Sword Art Online series. So that's also bring bring the same concept, where the main character is being trapped in virtual world, and they basically it's like a life and death situation in virtual world kind of situation. But it's bringing out the same concept that in the future that we might have a two life, like physical life and then we have a virtual life. But in fact, even today we already have some sort like that kind of version, but VR will like enable much more realistic, much more interactability, much more realism into our separate life. Like, so we have a physical world and then we have virtual world life. So just to drive a little bit of context on how big the VR being now and what the things that people are familiar with VR when we're talking about VR.
Yeah, that's crazy when you mentioned about Ready Player One, and it is feasible. Like, just imagine if we can, like, if everyone, I mean, it's not just imagine, it's already been done, I would say. I'm sure there's VR game developers out there that are doing that's doing something like Ready Player One kind of concept, right? And but what about those VR games that we already have now? Like, if we are talking about VR being applied into games.
So if we're talking about games, so certainly if you are in really follow the industry, the VR industry itself, game is one of the it's not one of it is the biggest right now, the biggest contribution use case of virtual reality right now, VR experience. And we see a lot of increase of user, especially during pandemic, because a lot of people stuck at home, right? So if we're talking about what the current games or application that we have right now, right? So just to brief through, we have something what we call VR chat. Maybe if you have watched a viral video about kind of like VR where a person talking on multiple language to a lot of people in virtual world, that is what VR chat is about. Is basically it's similar to what we already play one. You have your own avatar and you can move into two different worlds. So you can go to a world about missionary or steampunk, and then you can jump to different world about candy, about cute stuff and everything. And it's a free, and then you can it's a free roam world, it's open world, so then you can meet with person from the other place, and it's really bring the concept of a social, like virtual socialism, and yeah, that's could bring the dimension layer how we could have two life in VR and then our real life, right? So that's one of the application. And then we have Rec Room. It's more like mini game playing style. I also really enjoy that game. What else? Actually, there's a lot of upcoming social. So I would say it is called MMORPG, something like that. Multi
MMORPG.
MMORPG, something like that. So basically, you have a lot of people in open world, talking, interact with each other, doing tasks or playing games together. So and everyone have their own avatar. So similar situation that what you would find in the movie Ready Player One. So you have your avatar and then you can explore the world. And the sky is the limit. You can go anywhere you want. You can interact with a lot of people, right? And it's really fun for those who have probably those who already have experience VR or have VR headset in their home or regularly use them. Will really understand what I'm saying. That is really easy to get lost the moment when you step into the VR world.
Okay.
And could like 1 or 2 hours go really fast because it's feel a part of your, because it's a 360. It's not just 2D display just in front of you. You can look around, you can interact with the object, you can talk with a real person, but of course through their avatar. So it's really drive home the point I made earlier, that how humanity could be have a two separate life in the future, as like the Ready Player One movie.
That's yeah. I find that you keep on mentioning two lives.
Yeah.
That is interesting. Like one life, one is virtual life. Another one is real physical life. So let's say if we were, I mean, yes, with VR we are given the choice to build whatever virtual world that we want, and meaning that I'm not sure, like how would that change our perception? I mean, human perception on surrounding, on their world. I mean, now we are not very. I mean, now, yes, everyone is aware of VR, but we are not using it throughout our daily life.
Correct.
So, I would say, I mean, we can't deny this, right? It's a general, not to say general knowledge, but it's a general notion around the world now that people are so into internet life or the online life, or in other words, we can also call that virtual. And we are seeing disconnections between people more and more. Will it be bad? Will it be bad when VR is being made available to public?
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting point that you are mentioning. Like, yes, we tend to look at this. I mean, this possibility that it will be really bad for humanity because we have two lives. But let's be honest. This is not the first time we experience this. It's just a more step up rather than what we already have, because we already have two lives technically, right?
Yeah.
We have our real life, right? And then we have our social
Mhm.
media, social network life. So it's nothing,
Yeah.
it's not that radical either. Actually, we're already exposed by that. We're already familiar with the situation. And what VR coming is, what comes with VR is basically it had much more realism, much more immersive, much more deep connection to the virtual world, to the virtual life, right? So there's a few aspects that things could go wrong, where people could not differentiate virtual world and real world. It's certainly a legit concern as technology move more advanced, and digital graphic become much more real. This could be a real potential, and we need to potential hazard, I would say. We really need to think about the ethic on how we enable this technology, and especially for young child, teenagers. I don't know, this is just my speculation. Maybe we would have a restriction for young children and teenagers to use VR because they are still developing. And if we allow them to, like, if the VR graphic, let's say, become very similar to our real world, is very realistic, then it could pose a threat to children development, right? Teenager development, because they'll be confused which one is real, which one is virtual. But again, I don't know how the future can unfold, but that could be potentially. I think we need to bring about the conversation of ethic and use of technology, and how actually this technology can affect, especially in a young age of children. It's definitely going to bring them a whole new generation that going to be different that we already have today. So I mean, today even generation younger than us even have different than us. Then I cannot imagine. I mean, if you ask me, I cannot imagine how the next generation that grow with VR already a common things could look like, or could be like. Personally, I don't know. Maybe they are. I don't know. We could have a lot of something like multiple personality disorder. I'm not sure. I just it, right? It's just a wild idea that, yeah, it could be a positive. We would see a high increase of that kind of like mental disease. We could see that, because people are start confusing. Even we're talking about adult usually have a lot of issue to not issue, basically problem to actually differentiate what is real, what is not real, right? So yeah, we need a much more larger conversation about this to actually understand how this can affect our future generation. Yeah. And why we are at this idea, right? So probably a lot of our audience related, because I doesn't really mention this earlier, because how actually you experience VR, and how we actually works, right? So if you are wondering how it works, is okay. Right now we have a few way how we are working, how VR works in a current technology. So first of all, we have what we call freedom, degree of freedom. So right now there's two types of VR, but to say. So first one, we have 3 degrees of freedom, 3 DOF, and then we have 6 DOF, or 6 degrees of freedom. So 3 DOF is the VR where you can look around, you can look at the back, you can look at the top, but when you walk forward or walk backward, it won't translate in virtual world. So your position in virtual world is fixed, but you can look around 360, everything and different. You can interact with the object, but your position in the virtual world is fixed, because it's only have access of, basically is axis of your head. You can look right, top, down. Yeah, so you are limited to your head movement. So that's why we only call 3 degrees of movement. So this is where the early stage of VR coming. You basically just limited to that kind of experience. But now we are slowly moving into a 6 degree of freedom, where not only you can look around, you can move your positioning. So if you walk forward, your position in virtual world also going to be translated accordingly. So it will bring much more realism. So if you are jumping, you can feel you are actually jumping in virtual world. You are actually jumping in virtual world. It's not just in a fixed position. So it's bring much more experience. So right now, all the devices that we have, we try 6 degrees of freedom is the gold standard. So everyone are moving, right? Moving into that direction. And if you're talking what kind of headset or device that actually you could buy now to experience this, first of all, I would recommend, I would say the best VR headset at the moment is Oculus Quest 2, right? And then we have HTC Vive, and then we have a few ideal Chinese brand, but it's not really big in other market. Yeah, it's still limited to China, but I forgot the name. But actually, there's a few in China market right now. They actually try to similar to Vive. Oh yeah, and then one more is Index. Wait, I forgot. Valve Index. So for those who are playing Steam, you know about Valve, the company, so they also create their own VR headset. So if you want to play Steam VR, you could get Valve Index. So this is a few devices that actually I would say the top of the line at the current now. But at the moment, there's I won't say it's issue, is an argument that Oculus Quest is Oculus Quest 2. So Oculus Quest 2, what the special thing about this device is that it's priced reasonably. It's very, I won't say it's very cheap, but it's in the price range that really can open a lot of market. It is priced starting from $299. So it's like MY 2. MYR 2. No, not 2. 1.2K, something like that. So it's affordable, and then it's a standalone headset. What I mean by standalone headset, so there's another technology in VR. We have two types. We have standalone and we have, I would say, wired. So standalone is where you just wear the headset. There's no wire connecting to you, and you are free to do what you're free to move in your surrounding. And there's one more side of it is wired. So that means you wear your headset, and then there's a wire go down and plug into your PC. And there's pro and con for each technology, because first for the standalone, you are limited to the CPU that being put in the headset itself. So right now, Oculus Quest 2 are using similar mobile chip that you use in your phone right now. It's actually not exactly the same, but it's produced by Qualcomm Snapdragon. So it's called XR2 engine or chip. I forgot what the name is, but it's basically a mobile processing. So when you are using mobile processing, your your graphic performance is kind of limited, but you in exchange you get no wire attached to you. You can move around, and it's much more convenient. On the other side, you have a wired experience where your headset is being plugged into a computer. So the advantage of this is that all the graphic will be done by the PC, and it could produce much more powerful and much more realism because it's being done by much more powerful CPU, much more powerful processing, right? So it will give you much more realism looks, really good digital visual graphic, but you are wired. So there's a few way how a lot of VR user overcome this by, like, you know, they hang their wire on the top of, like, there's something like hanging, and then they can play around, in their playing space. But again, this is not really convenient for casual user, for example, if I would say. So you are limited to setup. You have to set up things, right? So you are limited to that kind of setup. Compared to standalone, you can just bring it to anywhere, any space that you want to go, plug, wear it, and then you can start with playing it, right? So that's a pro and cons of how the current VR technology works. But if you ask me, the future, I think, will be much more on a standalone, because it's much more convenience and much more realism put in it, because we just have to worry about wires, right? So there's no point we being in digital world, but suddenly you have to be aware about the wire, right, running around behind us, right? So it's kind of like diminish the experience, right? Yeah, so that is how the current technology. There's a few technology that contribute to VR being much more realism. That first, degree of freedom, right? So the gold standard is 6 degrees of freedom, and then standalone wireless experience where you doesn't have to connect to anything. But again, there's a cons on it lah. The graphic are still at much more lower compared to a wired experience. And another one is we have this what we call tracking. So tracking is basically there's two types. One type is that the tracking is being done by the headset. So this usually apply for standalone headset, and another one they have a sensor in the space. So for example, if you are so for standalone headset, usually they have camera. For example, Oculus Quest 2, they have 4 cameras and they in the headset. So it will detect all your surrounding just from your positioning. So that's why it's much more convenient. You can just change room and you can move to, you doesn't have to bring anything, just bring the headset and you can change room. But for setup for another set of a headset that require a external sensor, that's mean so you have to put a sensor under like your left side and then your right side. So it's like they try to see where you in the space in order to understand your positioning. So yeah, that's another, I would say, way of looking at it. But again, there's pros and cons. The setup is much more accurate, not much more, it will be much accurate compared to the one that you attach to the headset after tracking and attach the headset. We call inside out and outside in tracking. So inside out, so
inside
basically
out meaning the attached headset.
Yeah, correct. Outside in is like there's a sensor outside of you that's going to track you, right? So the gold standard I would say would be on the inside out, because it's much more convenient and you doesn't have to set up anything, right? Because if not, do you have to set up? Actually, you have to set up like a stand and then you have to put a sensor, so a bit inconvenience, right? So that's the gold standard of the current VR technology, if you were to ask, and that's how it works. And if you are looking for the headset, I would recommend Quest 2, but there's a big controversial there because Oculus is owned by Facebook. Okay, owned by Facebook. So the current policy is that in order for you to use Oculus, you have to sign in using Facebook account. So it's really controversial because in order to use the headset, you have to sign in with your Facebook account, and that means in a sense, Facebook have your data in virtual reality. And this could be another topic by yourself. It's really huge. It's about the advertisement, Facebook and the ads and how they run business. So now they have hands in virtual world of VR market. There's a questionable there. And just to drive the point home, Oculus Quest 2 is the biggest market, have the biggest market in VR headset right now. So basically, in a sense, Facebook has almost monopoly in terms of like stand alone headset. That basically there's no competitor right now. Oculus Quest 2 is so far is the best standalone headset for VR, and is owned by Facebook. So right now there's a lot of controversial issue about it, but again, this could unfold differently in the future. But yeah, I don't think we should dive into that in this topic, right? So that's how the current technology works, right? So yeah, I know there's a lot of things to digest here and there. But but yeah, I think maybe I don't know, maybe Leroy we have a question about it.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
So like it's a matter of us always improving and turning the experience to be a lot more real every single time. Right. So like if we use the headset, so currently virtual world, I would say the experience is from what we perceive visually and like what other technologies in VR in order for us to experience a lot how do I say, in order for us to experience a higher degree of realism.
I think that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. So like now we are, what I understand is we are limited to what we can perceive visually.
Hmm.
So like, and then yeah, and then we have the
Omni-track.
yes, Omni track,
Omni-treadmill.
Omni treadmill, yes. I was like in my head, Omni channel, Omni channel. Yeah, the Omni treadmill, and then that is sort of like giving us the sensation that we are actually walking or running around, going here and there.
And
So I,
if
yeah.
I were to add on top of it, actually right now there's also a
Mhm.
device that can simulate smell in VR as well.
Oh wow,
So
are you
it's
serious?
like, yeah, it exists that you can actually buy it. So yeah, welcome to the new
Because
world. And
imagine,
yeah, wait.
uh-huh.
There's a more. We also have a body sensation like jacket suit that you can wear to
Yes,
have like touch and
you can
sensation
feel
of like
pressure.
being, yes. And then we also have like a glove that you can have resistance. You can, when you pick an item in the virtual world, you can feel a resistance that the object
Oh, you can
existed.
feel.
All of this is existed today, just to drive the point.
Yes, that's, I
But
want to know. That is what I want to know. Oh, imagine if you play games with that full
correct.
set
Correct.
experience.
Yeah, it's
I
gonna be
mean,
mind blown.
that I cannot separate reality and virtual reality anymore, dude. That is what I want to know. Like, okay, especially the body sensation
Yeah.
suit. I like to
Yep.
call it the body suit, VR
Yeah.
body suit.
Correct.
That is so cool. That, and then the glove that you said just now.
Yep.
That is so smart. That is so real. Just imagine, right? When you want to kick something in the virtual world, you can feel the weight on your foot.
Correct.
Oh, hey, where can we get those
Yeah.
items? Those
It's actually available, but in limited supply. And one of the issue is still this kind of accessory is still in, haven't yet been caught by the mainstream.
okay.
One of the reason is price point. It's still expensive. The bodysuit,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm not mistaken,
Mm-hmm.
2K USD. For this, I forgot. Probably I'm wrong, but
For the
some sort like that is very expensive. And then the Omni treadmill also very expensive as well. But there's a cheaper version that being developed right now. And the glove is still bulky. It's not portable enough for us to actually make it convenient. So it's still in fancy phase. And then if you're afraid the smell, if I'm not mistaken, smell is already crowdfunded and it's
smell.
already have available product that you can actually buy. Right. So
Oh my God.
yeah, the thing is moving. I would say all the piece is ready. All the piece is here. You just need to some push to put it together. And yeah.
That's good news. That is definitely a big, huge good news for us. That's crazy because I legit I imagine back then, like, what if we have a bodysuit that can simulate pressure,
Correct.
touch, heat, cold? That would be crazy. But the smell part, I mean, I've never, yeah. Well, it's it can be counted as virtual reality, lah. I mean, uh, some sort of, right? But then I never thought of like it would be developed by actually games of VR. Because every single time when I watch, okay, I like to watch channels about food and cooking.
Oh.
So sometimes, like, yeah, sometimes, especially food from outside of Malaysia. Sometimes I wonder how does it taste like? What does it smells like? If only I can smell it coming up from the TV. Somehow the TV got a sensor or something that can, emit smell. And then how does a digital, how does a line of code can simulate and release chemicals to mimic the smell that we see on a TV or on a screen. So that is insane.
So, I mean, if we were to
And-
diagnose or dissect each of the accessory, I would say accessory that I mentioned earlier for virtual reality, right? Each of them, they have their own working principle. And if we were to discount that, we're gonna be a long video. We can have a video just to die, okay, how the full body
Yeah.
working, how it works, how the smell work, how the glove works. So there's a lot to unpack there. Yeah. But of course, this is yes, this technology as I mean, this accessory are still in development. I would say it's still not in mainstream, but it's here. It's here. I mean, it's arrived already. It's arrived. That's I would say.
Here.
It's here.
It's gonna be here soon. And soon, you guys will be able to be with us virtually, like literally.
Yep.
Literally virtually. That'd be cool.
We could, I mean, actually, we can, even today, we can do that. Actually, if we can have an accent over there, we can have, jump into VR chat. We can have like virtual talk, you know, virtual talk. Maybe in the future we might do FixColab BTS
that's so cool.
in VR chat or in virtual world. Look forward to that.
Yeah. Hey, the office needs to have Omni treadmill everywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the you see, like, this is why technology is very exciting, especially VR. Like yeah, other than games, where can we, I mean, other than games, for VR, virtual reality, where else is virtual reality technology is being implemented?
So what others use case for VR, right? So just now we all what we just talking about, mainly more about the games, right? The experience of like Ready Player One or Sword Art Online. But there's just a lot of other applications actually. Even though right now the market is being dominated by games, but another potential use case, or it's not just another use case, already being used right now, but it's a smaller scale. So one of it is in training. So for example, things that you need things that are high risk, that have a danger for you to do a training. We can simulate the training in VR, and then you can apply the skill that you use. For example, like doctors, they want to practice, for example, cutting a body, whatever. Yes, I mean, right now we can cut, I mean, they can cut a real body, but they can also simulate the same thing using VR for training. I mean, for early stage, before do on the real body. And then like dentists, they also can simulate the same thing. You know, doesn't have to sacrifice a patient to being an experimental, right? We can use VR. VR is risk-free. That's a really important part. It's safe and risk-free for them to do all this training. It's not dangerous, and it's a risk-free. If you fail, you can redo over and over again, right? That's another use case of VR in basically in training and skill up. And also when we're talking about scaling and skill up, also drive home to education as well. So education to explain, especially in the education of where we want to explore a really complex concept. For example, if we're talking about quantum physics, then very hard to imagine it. If we're just talking about it in a chemical reaction, maybe we can have a world where students can jump in and see how the atom actually interact in micro or nano scale. I don't know what the scale is about. And then also in the bigger scale, in the universe, of how the solar system works and what is beyond the Kepler. What is it, Kepler? What is stone again? I forgot already. Kepler's belt, yeah. And beyond that, how it works, and maybe because right now, not right now, the future space will be a big part of the future. And getting people to understand the space industry, VR could be one that enable technology that make it much more easier for people to understand this complex idea, right? So that's education. And besides that, we can also, there's probably some will be interested for common, like in sport, for example. we could do something that simulate the experience in sport moments. Let's say they have replay, right? Football, they have replay, soccer, they have replay. So imagine in the future, this replay, you can actually select and you can be like one of the, be like that, you can simulate the where simulate that you are the player, and what you feel, what the player feel during the replay, during the shot, right? We can simulate that. Or maybe if you're unable to go to the stadium, we can have something like a virtual stadium where you can actually experience the match in virtually, right?
Yeah.
So that's a completely, instead of just a 2D screen, you can actually be like simulate the experience of being in the stadium as well. And yeah, that's for basically that's a sport entertainment, something like that. And then entertainment, of course, entertainment, there's a lot of use case in this. There's a lot of things. One of things that I think already taking off right now, we call this things this new segmentation in the entertainment, we call virtual avatar talent or whatever. So if you are into that market, you will see there's a lot of new, like avatar to talk. So instead of YouTuber, instead of real person, you see avatar, and then this avatar also have an open world that you can see how they are interacting in open world. So imagine in the entertainment in the future that you jump into your VR and then you can meet your celebrity, avatar celebrity. Right, so we are a lot much more different entertainment experience. So yeah, that's another use case. What else are I thinking of right now? I think there's a few more. Yeah, but more or less that's how future could change, right? When VR become more common and become more accessible and become more convenient for people to get into it, we could see how all this thing is unfold and how we get to change our civilization.
Yeah. I sort of like, the impact is huge.
Yeah.
The impact is huge, especially like you said, like you mentioned, training. And then, of course, when we're talking about training, it goes down to none other than education, right?
Correct.
And especially now, like
Correct.
kids, yeah, like everyone is at home. Classes. I mean, there's no more physical classes until we don't know when, right? And then, but the thing is now, not everyone has the devices to access the internet. What more to say, VR. This goes to the case of the handphone being distributed to the students, but yeah, not talking about that. But yeah, like I imagine for engineering students especially, because I feel like if engineering, I mean, we both from engineering backgrounds, I feel like imagination is really, really important for us to understand a concept or a theory.
Exactly.
Yes. And virtual reality is the bridge between theory or knowledge or whatever word or numbers or formulas that we see into a more higher understanding. And we can witness processes instead of, like,
equation.
literally we can witness process. Yeah, we can witness processes instead of input and then we see output, but we can literally see the process in between.
Correct.
And I feel like if we can tap into that, our technology is gonna go even crazier.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So I mean, the future is going to be really, really interesting if we're talking about VR. And like you mentioned earlier, it's awkward to say it, but thanks to the pandemic, it's actually accelerate the VR industry itself, because a lot of people stay at home and they need something to experience. And then we have Oculus Quest 2, which is, again, allow me to highlight that Oculus Quest 2 is the most successful VR headset at the moment. Why I'm saying that? Its successor, Oculus Quest 1, the first one, right? So what happened is the number of sales, Oculus 2, the sales number of Oculus 2, within 3 months already surpassed the 1 year sales of Oculus 1. First 3 months after its release. And now it's the basically the numbers of Oculus Quest 2 is the biggest numbers of VR asset available today. In fact, I have one, and the neighbor in front of me, I have one. That's how many the VR asset, the Oculus Quest 2 right now. So when I'm moving into this, I mean, because actually I just moved it early this year, right? So I was surprised to see actually my neighbor also have Oculus Quest 2. Because it's just released last year. Actually, it was released on September last year. So because I'm pre-ordered it, so I get it quite early. So then when I moved here, I never thought I would see my neighbor could have it.
Someone else.
Right. So that's to see how VR industry are booming right now. Even in Malaysia, I can say the impact. Just to be fair, I'm not in the city area. I'm more like suburban, I think less than suburban, because I'm not even in any close to any big city or whatever. So even in that area, I can see a few VR users here. So you can imagine how this thing is going to taking off as we're moving forward. Even I think after the pandemic, people, those who have already experienced VR, I think the moment right now is that a lot of people that haven't changed, chance to experience VR yet. So the moment you have experienced it before, you will start to have a lot of imagination. You start wanting the device. So that's how I get started. So I have experiences once, and then wow, this is really unlock my imagination. There's a lot of things I can do, and that's why I want to get my own as well, right? I get my own device, and there's a lot of devices out there. But if you were to looking right now, difficult for me to say because you have to use Facebook login, and it's owned by Facebook. But again, it's the best all-rounded VR headset at the moment. Oculus Quest 2. Yeah, this one is sounds like professional marketer already, but that's how good is the device. It's very convenient and it's really powerful. And if I'm not mistaken, the latest update it enables. So when it's released, it's only capable of 60 hertz display, right? And then there's a new update early this year. It's unlocked to 90 hertz, and then the latest update, I think last month, 120. Now it's unlocked to 120 hertz. The more refresh rate, the much more realism it could feel. So that's how this. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like promoting Oculus Quest already. Facebook come pay me.
But yeah, hey Oculus, if you're watching this,
sponsor.
Hey, that'd be crazy though.
Yeah.
Just imagine if we were to have meetings, internal meetings, right? And then everyone just let's go to the virtual room.
Correct.
And everyone is there. That's crazy. That would be so cool.
Yeah. So I think that's.
Yeah. I when you mention about the refresh rates, like 120 refresh rates, that is as good as your iPhone screen refresh rate right now, guys. Right. Imagine you see virtual world as good as iPhone screen display. You turn around and see
really smooth, really smooth.
Serious? Is there somehow where I can, like, I don't know, like you know when you have a new piece of technology you want to show to your friend, right?
Correct.
So now the problem here is now, how do you want to show me this Oculus to me right now?
That's the biggest hurdle right now, is to give people the chance to experience it. Because the moment you experience it, you will say like, I need to get this. That's just a hurdle right now for VR. Is to get as many of people to experience how being in VR, how good it feels. At the moment, once you have the experience, you will start wanting the device, and we grow the user base and more people adapt it, that we have like a community in virtual world. That's the future.
So it's crazy. We are turning into what
Ready Player One.
no, the famous sci-fi Netflix series Black Mirror.
Oh yeah, Black Mirror. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like now, like here in Malaysia, other than games, I also see that we have virtual expos going on, right? So we have virtual festival, like currently that's ongoing, which is the Rainforest World Music Festival.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's currently ongoing and it's being done virtually. So I tried to play around with it just now. It was good. It was the user experience, right? When we were talking about these virtual expos and stuff. So the user experience really depends on the power processing of your device.
Correct.
That's what I think lah.
Correct.
Yeah. So that's also one limitation if you wanna. Yeah. So I would say that implementation of full immersive experience VR is still costly.
Yeah.
And what would that be like? Would it be like a 3D? No, it's no longer 3D virtual experience, right? If let's say we have the bodysuit, we have the gloves and everything for us to feel the pressure, weight, heat,
Touch.
or whatever, then we wouldn't call it 3D, right? What we call it? 6D?
I don't know. For me, it's fully immersive VR, I would say. 3D. I don't think we can put in dimension. Is yeah, we like fully immersive. I would say fully immersive experience to get a full set of VR accessory and the equipment.
Yeah, because this reminded me of theme parks, right? So theme parks got 3D world and then got 4D
Correct.
Hey, 4D how 4D? Oh no, you sit in the room. I mean, in the hall. You wear the headset, and then you be going through like a water slide.
Correct.
And then the 4D, the fourth D is just the water being sprayed to your face. And they claim it is 4D.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I mean
is that the right? Yeah, is that the right?
I'm not sure. I think that's more into marketing. I would say it's technical wise is correct, but yeah, marketing, anything can go. I mean, anything possible.
So it's misleading.
A bit.
Yeah. So guys, if lockdown is done, COVID is done, and you guys want to go to theme park and then go see virtual 4D, 5D, 6D experience, don't believe that.
Get Oculus Quest 2.
Because if you want to really experience 6D based on the theme park's definition of Ds, so the 6D is still gonna be so super expensive. You cannot just go to theme park and queue up, bayar RM10 to experience. Yeah. But yeah, like that's I mean, there's nothing else I would say. I mean, there's no other emotion I would put to this particular type. It's just fun. It's just exciting. And I'm sure it's the same for you, Hakim. I'm sure it's even crazier for you. So since when did you first expose to this VR technology?
To be honest, I just remember when exactly. I think around 2015, 2016, around that time, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe if I'm not mistaken, I saw a video And back then, I think back then there's any initiative, cheap VR. So if you ever heard about Google Cardboard, so it's like you put your phone and then you have a cardboard and you can put. So that's
Oh
is
yeah,
right. If you remember that, that's the
yeah.
initiative to make VR accessible. But the problem with that is that it doesn't deliver a good VR experience. The reason why, because the cardboard itself is fragile and your positioning really affect how you see the world, how you perceive the world, right? And it really turned off a lot of people back then, actually. Oh, VR only like that. But back then, if you experience the full flash, like Oculus Rift, back then we have Oculus Rift, is back then Oculus Quest 2 doesn't exist yet. It's completely different. It's very immersive compared to the Google Cardboard. So what happened then, now if you see Google Cardboard is totally died. No one talking about it right now. Right now the gold standard of VR is a fully proper headset that can actually calibrate it just for VR viewing, that you can deliver a really immersive experience. How we see the different of the cardboard experience and the actual proper VR headset is like night and day. That's how big that difference are. The VR cardboards can be blurry, can be inconsistent, it's lack of functionality. So it's depend on how you position your phone and everything. There's a lot of possible point of failure. But if you use a specialized headset like Oculus Rift or HTC Vive back then, it's very good. It's very immersive. It feel unreal, because the first time I get a experience of proper VR headset experience, like a whole new world, like literally a whole new world that being unlocked in front of me, seeing, can interact with the object. It feels surreal. Then the moment I get that experience of, well, this is something I need to work on, and I could see this is the future. And yeah, I could see probably in 5 years, we could see VR as very common.
And in what kind of sector would that be?
Yeah, I would say the consumer level would be much more on the entertainment, I would say. But on the industry side, I would say what we discussed earlier about the training and education part. So that would be the big one, because right now, for VR industry, business side still have much more value than the consumer side, because consumer side right now, the priority is in games and entertainment. But on the industry side, so how big is this, like business side compared to consumer side, is that company will design a specialized hardware just for a business. So that's how different. So for business hardware, that we have a specialized hardware for business using for training, will be much more durable for different design language, right, compared to the consumer type of hardware. And it will be, the business side will be usually a bit more powerful and much more expensive, of course. If you add, to give you an idea how expensive the business specialized hardware of VR could be, 10K USD per one headset. That's just the head mounted display. That's it. Of course, we use a different technology than a consumer base. They have this like I forgot what it's now called. So there's a company just specialized for that. So they have a different way how they can make things more real, how they project the image into your eyes. So that's how different it is, right? So that's how big it is. Company will have a specialized device for that. So yeah.
And I would say be super helpful for, I think, especially engineering.
Correct.
Engineering business, I mean engineering industries. For let's say, and yeah, like I think one, and like, what kind of industry do you think would invest more in VR? Do you think Petronas, big oil and gas companies, especially, I mean, companies in Malaysia, like, what do you think? Which company do you think most likely would like to adopt VR?
Interesting. We are thinking about in the context of Malaysia. Yeah, oil and gas could be one of it, right? Petronas, but also another, I think, I would say somewhere in like drone as well, right?
Mhm.
I think we're aware about it. There's a drone headset for you to view, right? So this could be
FPV,
another
yeah.
industry that actually, because drone is really big industry right now. Back then it's just
Yep.
hobbies. Right now it's very really big industry. So you can imagine that
Yeah.
the same thing will take off for VR as well. Right? It will be once you get the business application, it will be much more profitable for business to go into it, and then the consumer side will get benefit of it, right? And yeah, I would say the oil and gas, drone industry, uh, things, construction site,
Mhm.
training for construction site for any dangerous work, like for example, maybe like Chernobyl, or not nuclear, not Chernobyl, nuclear,
Good plan.
nuclear plant training. You just have to go to the place itself, expose yourself to the radiation. Instead, you can just go do the training first in VR, and then once you in the at the actual place, you know the layout already. Doesn't have to go, and then your muscle memory already built, so it reduce time for you to instead of go back just for training, just do at your home, and then later you can just come to the work. You already know the layout, right? So it'll be much more on technical engineering side. That for example, right, if you're technician, let's say for example the construction side, right? Let's say the engineer say that, oh, this side there's a problem, and this is a new engineer. He never been to the site, but we have the VR version of it. And he can go through the VR version of it, get familiar with the layout, and the moment he arrives at the location, he know already the layout, and he can quickly done his job. Right? So we can see how VR can accelerate the efficiency. So when VR can accelerate the efficiency, a lot of industry, especially in technical side, would love to adopt.
Yeah. How about for development?
Hmm.
I mean coding, programming.
Hmm.
Is there any way VR can help any of our processes
Um, okay, I
within
don't know
our
where
contracts?
in terms of like development, there's nothing much on it because we doesn't have an issue of imagination yet, actually, because
Mm-hmm.
programming is more like problem solving, and that's the point of it. We are here to solve a problem, programming, right? So VR doesn't really have any place. No, as I see now, there's no place that we can see VR putting into it. Besides just like the virtual office experience, meeting and everything. Besides that, I don't think much in terms of like productivity works doesn't really put VR doesn't really put value into it, right? So again,
Mm-hmm.
VR. I mean, depending on how the application is, that's where the VR can really increase the efficiency. But in terms of like productivity, just like if you just admin or you just a finance, doesn't really VR doesn't really put value on top of it, or we just write programming or writing code. VR doesn't really serve any adding value. So in that case,
Yeah,
VR still is not it's not a fit application.
that's true. But like now I have another imagination in my head. Like let's say we can somehow sort of like put visuals to the codes that we build,
Hmm.
right? and then like let's say if there's a bug
Hmm.
and I just plug it into the VR and then you
Hmm.
can literally see everything. Oh, I know where's the problem. And
Hmm.
then you interact with that thing there, you fix it in there, and it's fixed on the front end. I don't know
Hmm.
how,
Hmm.
but that would be cool. I
Yeah,
think later our editor have to somehow come up with with visuals.
I mean, what you mentioned is actually it's a very interesting use case as well. I mean, yeah, like having like maybe a screen to see all the code. But if you ask me professionally, a lot of programmers already have a multiple screen around them. So it's making it virtual doesn't really serve because we already have the screen. A lot of programmers have like 4, 5 screen around it. So okay, it depends on what kind of programmer you are, but at least for me, I have 3, 4 screen. so I doesn't really need VR to do that. I have a multiple screen for me to view a lot of things at the same time to find the bugs and everything. Yeah, but certainly it is possible because there's actually an application in VR we call desktop VR, if I'm not mistaken, the name is. So basically you can simulate a desktop in VR itself. So imagine it's also, let's say you only have one screen in your computer, but you want to have a multiple screen. So we can jump in VR, connect to PC, and then you can like have 3 screen virtually. You have normal screen one, yeah. So you doesn't have to buy monitor. You can simulate your screen in VR. Yeah, yeah.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look for that.
Yeah, there's a lot of video you can. I think it's desktop VR, so you can have multiple monitor in VR, basically in VR.
So meaning that you'll be using the headset.
Yeah.
You'll be using the headset, right?
Correct.
And then but you can still do your work.
Yes.
But then you virtually have like more screens. Wow.
Yes. You have a multiple
That's
screen.
crazy.
You have a virtual screen, virtual monitor. Yeah. Welcome to the future.
Yes, I am in the future. Okay, so like what if
I think the whole today video is like one word I could describe is Leeroy is like astonishing and like exciting and the Kusima like on the all the current development in VR. Actually, yeah, if you really follow VR, there's a lot of things happening right now. Then yeah, that's really exciting at the moment. Yep.
And I think it's our duty to relay this
correct
information development to instill interest within the younger generations. Yeah. And yep, I just realized that VR is just more than what it is. And I think we're gonna touch VR also in the future. We have all the different devices in order to make virtual reality more real. So yeah.
Okay, guys. I think that's it for today's session. For this time, and I think me and Leeroy have a lot to digest today as well. Probably if you are watching right now, there's a lot of things to digest. You can go to YouTube, search all the terms that I mentioned earlier. Oculus Quest. Man, I really promote Quest a lot today. And then you can search for desktop VR. You can search for what else I mentioned, HTC Vive or Beat Saber, or if you haven't watched the Ready Player One, you can watch it, or if you are like animation, you can go Sword Art Online. There's a lot of resources out there, right? And I really indulge in this industry for not industry. I would say I really follow through this VR industry for quite a long time. So for me, seeing that right now is basically taking off much more. I mean, it's basically in the booming right now, right? So really, I'm really happy because this is what I'm really passionate about, and then now a lot of people start taking notice of it, right? Yeah. Leeroy, anything you want to say to our audience are watching today?
Yeah, guys. So I have nothing else to say. I am still mind blown with our VR development that we actually have, because of those developments that we already have now. Well, like the things that I imagined VR would be when I first introduced to VR. I mean, I'm not sure when, but yep, for a few years back. But yeah. So guys, subscribe to our channel, watch our content, be updated with technologies around the world that we have. Don't be like me who knows nothing about VR. Right? So like kata di bawah tempurung, So we should not be like kata di bawah tempurung.
We should be Qatar with
Unless
VR.
Yeah. Kakak with VR dalam tempurung. Tengok VR pun dalam tempurung ke. It's like useless. But yeah, guys. Yeah, subscribe to our channel, like our videos, share, and put in some comments on whatever opinions that you guys have. You want to voice out to us. And yeah, always keep yourself updated on the
Stay safe.
technologies around you. And yes, stay
Get
safe,
vaccinated.
get vaccinated, and take care. Selamat lockdown, everyone.